Now that we've blocked in the tires, let's use them to create one of these fenders. And the fender is kind of interesting in that, I'm going to press Control and Spacebar here, in that it looks like it's actually two pieces. It kind of looks like it's this top piece here down to this edge, and then there's a straight piece that goes along the side here. And when I mean straight vertically. So there's this curved piece here, and then this straight piece kind of underneath it. And I think it might be nice to replicate that edge there all the way down. So let's give that a try. I'm going to press Control and Spacebar again. And now let's use this tire here. Let's hit the 3 key to go to face mode. And then let's use these faces here. Maybe if I hit the 3 key here, let's begin by, well, let's grab this face here that kind of aligns to the fender. And then let's press Control and maybe grab this one here. Let's do that. So we've got these faces selected now. Let's then duplicate them. Press Shift D and I'll just move the mouse up kind of maybe to here. Hit the S key and you can see we're kind of just creating the basic shape now of that fender. Maybe kind of like this. Now we need to split these faces out from the tire so it's its own object. And to do that, we just press the P key. So we can press P and then separate by selection. Now we can also come up here to mesh and separate by selection here. So let's do that. Now if we tab into object mode and select just this, now you can see it's its own object. We can tab back into edit mode, and now we can work on the fender here. So let's see what we can do with this. Let's select this edge here. I'll alt-click that edge. And then if we go back to our front view here and go to wireframe, we can kind of see that in here underneath everything. Now, if all this wireframe stuff is in your way, we can of course hide that by just coming over here, and we can hide the chassis. But look at that. It hit our fender and tire as well, which tells us that when we created these objects, they came in that collection. So let's bring that back. And let's tab back into object mode. And let's take a look at this. Let's see if we can rearrange our outliners so we can hide these a little easier. If we select this fender and this tire and this tire, we don't really see them here in the outliner, and that's because they're here in this chassis collection. So once we select them here, let's pull them out of that collection and put them in the main scene collection here. We can press the M key and choose scene collection. And there we go. Now we see them out here. So that if we then go back to the front view, and let's hit that Z key and go to wireframe. Now we can begin hiding these things like the chassis collection. That hides that. The gas tank and the seat. Now we have a clearer view of that reference image. So once again, keeping the outliner fairly organized is going to help in these kind of situations. And it helps in a lot of other situations as well. But let's go ahead and go back to edit mode. And I think I'll also go back to our quad view with Control-Alt-Q. And here's our top view, front, side, and we can tumble around here for a perspective view. So let's do that. And now let's begin extruding out. I'll hit EX. I'm going to pull out just a bit. Maybe to about here. And I think I'm going to scale in just a little bit because it looks like there's just a slight curve there, but we'll scale in just a little bit. And then let's do that again and bring that down. So I'll press E and X and come out to here. And then I'll scale in again, just a little. And I'll also bring it down some like this. Maybe I'll come back in just a bit like this. And then let's do that again and get that turn. Let's press E and pull out. I'm going to pull down just a bit. And then I'm going to scale in as well here in the side view. And then I'll press Control-Alt-Q to go back to our main view. Let's hit the 3 key And now we should be able to begin lining this up. But I think before I do, I'm going to pull these down to where the red paint is, and then we'll do one more extrusion to get it to the edge here. Right? So let's try that. I'm going to just begin grabbing these points, hitting the G key and moving them so they're in line with where the red paint ends. Just moving each of them down. It's kind of a pain, but there are times when you just have to grab some points and move them around. You just have to do some point pulling. And you shouldn't be afraid of that. Let's move that in just a bit. All right. So now that we've got that, I'm going to tumble around, go to solid view. We've got this basic shape now. It looks like this one here came down a bit, so I'm going to bring that up just a little bit. Once again, continuing to tweak every time we tumble around and see something new. But let's select this, Alt-click this edge, go back to the side view, and I just want to extrude down to this edge right here. You can just barely see that in the black, but you can really see it over here with this color. So let's just hit E, and I'm going to pull down, maybe about like this. And then I'm going to scale in some as well. Let's move it, and then hit the S key and scale in. Maybe something like that. That's pretty good. Now let's go back to wireframe, and let's begin moving these into place. Now I'll do another extrusion to extend this out, but let's go ahead and get these in place first. All right, let's see how we're doing here. Let's go back to our solid view, tab back into object mode. Let's go ahead and finish these off on the edges here. I'll press Alt and click this. Let's go to our side view, and let's just hit E and pull this out down to here. Kind of get that shape there. All right, and then let's go down and do this here as well. So I'll Alt-click this edge and maybe go to wireframe. And let's just take this E and bring this down. And let's begin moving these points into where we want them to be. I'll press G and move this down to here. There we go. So we've got those kind of in place as well. All right, tumbling around, back to solid view, tab into object mode, and there we go. We've got that basic shape for the fender now. So in the next video, we'll once again use an object like this to then create the next object that's going to be interacting with it, this piece here on the side of the fender.